Hello, I'm Glenn W. Hunter, and with me today is Shore Denny of Community Now, and we have a very special guest, Ms. Georgina Ramirez, Director 2 of Equity and Access in the Alvord School District in Riverside, California. And we're here together with TIPS, i.e., Trauma-Informed Prevention Services of the Inland Empire. And today, when you think about all the things that are going on in the academic world and our students, our teachers, and all that happens, we get a chance to really get an understanding of what's going on with regards to race and diversity in a fascinating school district here in the Inland Empire. So Gina, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Actually, we're happy to have you here.
Yes.
So, when we think about the role that you have in terms of being a director of equity and access, it definitely comes in with racial connotations. So is there more to it than that? How would you describe your role with Alvord School District?
I will say that when the position was first flown, it was first flown, like, I believe it was February of last year. And so within the time frame of it being flown and when it was developed to when I actually applied and everything, then George Floyd happened, and that just changed everything. Okay. And so I think with anything, I think it's an important position to have. I feel that every district it has to have some form or fashion of this position. I think it's imperative to make sure that when we talk about education and when we talk about our students and making them feel welcome and safe and protected on campus, that this is something that needs to take place, because it does involve all the racial aspects of it. The position itself, even though it does have racial connotations, it involves everything. It's not just race. It's not just ethnicity. It's also low socioeconomic, anything that involves inclusion of anything, LGBTQ community students, our special education students, our EL students, anything that involves anything of underrepresented students in any form or fashion. And so it involves all that. And again, my position itself, I have to deal with college and career, college and career district wide. I do Title I district wide. Wow. So, and that encompasses also, our underrepresented students as well. So when I look at the data, I have to look at the data. I'm over all the counseling in the district. So we have to make sure that, we have all the services that we need to make sure that every single student that attends Alvord Unified School District feels welcome, feels safe, and feels that they are being supported both academically and socially, emotionally. And that falls under the umbrella of equity and access.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Obviously, that is a lot to digest. So I'm going to defer to Shore some of that up with some more manageable bites, because your cup runneth over.
What a job. I hope you have one or two assistants, because that's a lot, right? And when you look at, I guess your whole job is to look at it as a whole, but again, you have those different cultures, right? Or that you've got to deal with, like you said, LPG, foster, or low income, or they're everything. Almost every youth would fit into these populations, right? So you're impacting, or the whole school district, all of the youth are really under you.
Yeah, and I work collaboratively with other departments. So to answer your first question, I have one assistant. She's amazing. It's Miss Ashley Clobb. She is absolutely amazing. And so we work very well together. You will almost always see us together. I mean, she's not here right now, but almost always you will see us together. But within that, I do work collaboratively with everything. So I'm constantly working with our EL department. I'm constantly working with our student services department, our special education department. So we collaborate with everything, our ed services. So it does seem pretty much anything can fall under equity and access. And so within that, I'm also responsible for community engagement. So I have to be out in the community. I have to attend. And it's not, and I say have to because it's part of the responsibility, but I love it. I mean, I've been attending meetings in the community since I was a counselor at Loma Vista, or actually Arizona 10 years ago when I first started. So this isn't something new, and I love it. but that's all part of the responsibility, so that we can have those partnerships with community organizations and provide all the necessary services. And also not just with our students, but even our staff. So anything that we have to offer for professional development that would encourage our staff to have different lens when they see our students, every single student in the classroom. And that also, again, that falls within that department of going out and searching for these professional developments or opportunities for our teachers in every aspect. So, I mean, there's a lot of collaborating happening. So it's not, I don't want to say that I'm the only one doing it. Our whole district is doing that. We have a great ed services department. And so the support that we have from even my assistant superintendent, is amazing. And so we couldn't do it without the teamwork and
Right.
the support that we have in doing so. I mean, she's amazing too. She'll just, this is what needs to be done. I'll like, this is what I should be doing. Go do it, find it, get it done. And so, and that's always an amazing feeling to have that, I can go into an office and be like, hey,
Right.
this is needed, go do it.
That is interesting. Now, all this time we've been talking to different components of the school, but I'm wondering, I think I have overlooked you administrators. How do you feel? I think that in my own organization now, I need to take a step back and look at like everything you just said. You have like, and all of those pieces weren't the teachers, right? They weren't the counselor. They weren't. So there's a whole nother group. What are they called? Category or is there a term certified for a whole group of people within the school district that are not the teachers, that admin support that I think you're talking about?
It's our management component, and we also have the classified component, which is our school secretaries, our registrars, our receptionists, and then our management, which includes our principals, assistant principals,
Yeah.
any of the directors at the district office at that level. So yeah, it's our management component.
Yeah. I never thought about what is the school secretary doing right now. Right. I never thought about, the impact of all of this to that job or that person that has to, still keep the administration of the school going. So, wow, that was a lot.
Yeah. And, and a lot of the times, I mean, they're the first contact, right? When the parent comes in or makes a phone call, they're the first point of contact before it gets to anybody at all. I mean, not even, and again, the teachers do an amazing job day to day, pandemic or no pandemic. Pandemic just, again, elevates, what they need to do. But our classified staff, they're the first point of contact. They're the ones that are going to get the heated parent or the happy parent or or the student for that matter. They're the first point of contact before it goes anywhere. So they do an incredible job. I mean, without them, we wouldn't be able to operate day to day. We just wouldn't be able to do it. I can speak for our assistants in our office. I mean, in mine specifically. If I didn't have her, I mean, it just wouldn't run. The office would not run. It would shut down. So to have that, and then again, we have our management who is also an integral part. I mean, of the day-to-day operation. I mean, it's just, and I think sometimes, I mean, I don't know that it's intentional, but it is overlooked. I mean, I think that our assistant principals and our principals at our sites, I mean, they deal with so much on the day-to-day, and I think, it can be a thankless job for so many reasons. I said, and I don't know that it's intentional. I just think that, they are overlooked on so many levels. And so I think it is important. It is important to recognize that, that the school functions, or the school can't function with everyone being part of the team and doing their part in that team. And so, and they're an important part. Plain and simple, they're an important part.
They are a very important part. They like get you paid. They like do all kinds of things that we really need, right? That's really exciting. And I'm glad, thank you, because I'm really, again, we're going to look at that as a whole. So let's kind of shift to what is it that you are seeing as this diversity officer? Do you feel that the position is needed? And have you seen change? What opportunities come with that?
Oh yeah, it's needed. And you know what? And I'll go back to March when everything happened, or I mean, it's been happening for many years, right? But in March, when George Floyd happened, I just think it shifted. I mean, the plus of it all is that that it forced a conversation and it forced a change in thinking, and so and that in itself just helped tremendously. I think I've been in Alvord since 2006, so this is 15 years now. So
Wow.
yeah, I've been there. I started as a counselor, and so yeah, I think that the diversity within the staff hasn't always mirrored the population that we served. And I think as time went forward, as we move forward, I think that with the support of the admin and the principals that I have worked with, we have been able to make those changes. I mean, and we continue to do so. I think one of my goals is to work collaboratively with HR, to be able to continue to do that. But one of the challenges that we're having, and I've sat on many interview panels, is that our students, I mean, it's difficult to diversify our staff when our students are not going into the education field. So we don't have many African Americans or Chicano Latino students or Native American students, first and foremost, attending college for some of our groups, right, our subgroups. And then from that point, we don't have many going into the education field. So that
Wow.
we have to uh, contend with is that a lot of times we get asked, your staff isn't diversified. Your staff isn't diversified. Well, we can only hire people who apply, and unfortunately, good, bad, or indifferent, we just don't have the students attending college and then going into the educational field. So it's a challenge to completely find staff to or people to diversify our staff. So I mean, but again, it kind of goes back, and it goes back to us, right? So we need to start. We do well at Alvord. We do very, very well in graduating all of our groups and populations. We have a high percentage of our African Americans. I think we're at 94% of our African American students graduating.
That's
Chicano Latinos in the 90%. We have really good rates. Unfortunately, and this is statewide, but since we're speaking specifically about Alvord, what we're where we need improvement is having them attend college. Having them A through G completed rates so that they are eligible for college, and then and then that leads into a whole other topic of college and retention and all that other stuff. But that's out of my control. So
right, right, right,
I can
right.
only go here, right? But again, so there is an active mentality of active, I guess, way of looking at. We do have to diversify our staff. We want to diversify our staff. We're just not getting the applicants that we need. And again, that's not something that's within our control. And so that's why I think it's essential that we provide professional development for the teachers that we do have. We have amazing, amazing teachers, amazing staff, and very, willing to learn and very willing to be able to participate in a lot of the diversity training and professional development that we're providing. But it is important that we have it, and I think a lot of times too, when we talk about diversity, we want to look at it from a black and white issue. I think that we talk about it, and when we talk about racial injustice, we right away want to go to the components of black and white, and it's like no, like there's other groups that suffer from racial injustice as well. And diversity training isn't just necessarily learning about learning about, I guess, I don't know how to explain this, but diversity is something that I have to learn about my own people too. I have to learn about Chicano Latino and the history, so that I can better appreciate, the students in my classroom. And so there's a lot of training that occurs. And so sometimes I think we forget that. And I don't know, I was in a meeting and someone said it, and I don't remember who, and I wish I could, so I could give credit, but I think sometimes we want to be inclusive with limitations. We can't choose when to be inclusive. Either we're inclusive or we're not, and I can't say, well, I'm inclusive, but I'm only going to focus on Chicano Latino.
Right,
No,
right.
if I'm inclusive of everybody. And so that's part of the training that has to occur. And so but yeah, I do. I mean, again, it's a challenge that we have, and we're working on it. We're doing the best that we can with what we have, and we're but I'm thankful because again, we do have a lot of partnerships with a lot of community organizations that are more than willing to come in and help um, and provide the support that we need. And building those relationships are important because I can contact somebody and say, hey, this is what we need. I need this workshop. I'm there. Hey, this is what I need, and we get it done. And so, it's a slow progress, but it's progress, and we will take it.
Okay, that's great.
So, Georgina, it's easy when you're in this environment to talk about the diversity and how you're able to connect with different ethnicities and also just up and down the hierarchy of the district. But well, frankly, no, it's a lot more complicated than that. So, I guess the question I have is that, as you're interacting with students and parents and district officials with regard to some of these tension-filled issues, what is the consistent message that you strive to get across to all three of these constituents? The students, the parents, district officials.
I think it's a unifying source, or it's a source of unification, I guess. I think that again, and how we view diversity is basically how we were raised in viewing diversity, right? And so I think that sometimes there's that negative connotation of, well, if we focus on just African American, why are we just focusing on them, or why are we just focusing on a certain group, right? I think people automatically think there's that division, and so I think the message that needs to be sent is that no, it's a unifying source. We're trying to have this unification that if we're focusing on African American, our Native American students, our Native students, our LGBTQ community, whatever, if we make all those groups, and I hate saying subgroups, but for lack of a better term, if we focus on all those groups and they feel comfortable and confident and supported, that's a unification, that's a unifying source. They're going to come to school and feel like everybody else and not feel like they stand out or not feel like they have to justify something. That's a source of unification. And so that's really the message that I like to get out, is that there's no hidden agenda. The agenda is, we're trying to make all of our students successful, whatever that means to that specific student. And if that specific student feels that success is graduating from college, or success is being the first student in their family to take an AP course, or whatever the case may be, then that's what we're doing. That's what we're here for. And so, so that's the message really, is that, when we talk about ethnic studies, when we talk about, our African American mentorship program, Greatness Within, when we talk about our Native knowledge program for our Native American students, when we talk about those programs, it's not because we're trying to be divisive. We're trying to be, to bring everyone together in the community and say, this is our community. And so, we live here, we go to school together, we live next to each other. And so it's it's a source of unification. It's not a division. It's not divisive in any shape or form. And so that's really the biggest message that I always try to, deliver.
That's so real. I'm multiracial, and when you look at me, you see one race. And I have always struggled with them putting us in compartments, like you saying, the subgroups. So if there were African American things going on, or I can even say as an adult, going to meetings, cultural meetings. Okay, there's an African American meeting and there's an Indian meeting or a Native American meeting at the same time. Well, I'm both. So I want to represent all of me, right? I think in society, there's a push to only recognize a part of who you are, and not that unificating force that you're talking about for me to accept all of me. I'm either black or I'm not. I'm either, and if I'm claiming my Native heritage, then I'm I'm trying to turn off my black heritage, or, it's like you said, if or, not an and. So that message of we are all perfectly, created and all belong is a great message, and I think it's really needed as adults. I think the kids know it until we untell them, or we tell them differently. I think they know that. So I applaud you for your programming that you said you're doing to work with your staff, as far as inclusion and understanding. Could you that's all I want to say. I don't know how much time we have, and I don't know if we can just dive into different programs that you guys that you are bringing in with your understanding of diversity. So Glenn, I don't know, do we
still got a little bit of time, but actually I want to take what you just shared, Shore, and just sort of allow Georgina to elaborate a little bit more, because I think you bring up a very good point. And when you start thinking about just the different perspectives, I want to go back to a comment you made about your classified staff as you started talking about their interaction. To your point earlier, I mean, they have a very difficult job. So when you start thinking about them and their public facing role, what kind of support do they get in the midst of all the changes that are going on in the education world right now, and they still maintain that integrity with their public facing role?
Well, we provide the same support. So any training that we offer our teachers, which are certificated staff, we call, so that you are on the same lingo, right? Educational lingo. So any training that we provide or we offer them, we offer classified staff as well. So and we're always, our thought is, or our hope is, that they feel supported. And so anytime I send out any messages or any messaging that goes out, if they need any additional support, if they, we encourage them, if they see something that they want to participate in, let us know. Like we can make it happen. We will make it happen if we can. I mean, obviously there's going to be times that maybe we have to say no, but if there's something out there that you see that you need, that would help you in your profession and your job and your interaction with anybody, please let us know. And so I feel that they know that. I hope that they know that. And so, but we do anything that we offer our certificated staff, we offer our classified staff as well. So, and they participate. I believe they're participating in a lot of the things that we have currently going on. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the mental health. Let's go to there. Do you guys is that a deep concern of the district, the mental health of their staff, and is there supports? And I don't mean like you can go to your HR and go to see a counselor or something, but I mean, are there different supports or things that the district is seeing as needed, or things that you see in the future should what do you think about the mental health of your staff, all of your staffing? And
absolutely, it's our concern. I mean, it's for anybody, even for the strongest person. It's a difficult time. I mean, we've been isolated, and for a long time, and so it is a difficult time, and we absolutely think about them. So we do have partnerships with McKinley Center, Wiley Center, Care Solace, that are constantly, providing support in any way that we can. We have done a trauma-informed training with our staff, as well with our students and our parents. So we constantly are doing that, aside from how you said, contact HR if you need anything. But yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely up there. It's a concern regardless, with our staff, with our students, with our parents, just the community as a whole. I mean, that's huge. It's huge with anybody. And it does start with, again, we recognize that it starts with self-care. And so we're constantly messaging them that, like we do send out right before the holidays, I mean, we try to send out a self-care kind of pamphlet, like, just don't forget to do these things. It's always a concern. It's always a concern anyway, but yeah, especially right now. I mean, it's just, we are in this situation, and it's difficult for anybody. I mean, I don't care who you are and how strong you are. It's a difficult situation. I think we're all ready to go back to some sense of normalcy. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go back to the way things were exactly, but definitely some sense of normalcy. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult to be isolated and not feel like you have that. We need human connection, regardless of, we want human connection with the choice, with the option of, when we want to we'll isolate ourselves, but but to
Right,
be
right.
told, isolate for a year, yeah, that's hard. That's
That's
difficult.
hard. And do you see the district putting new monies, or are they backing it with funding their support for the mental health of their everyone that that they're responsible for?
Well, I know that I know that the governor is sending additional monies to deal with just as a whole the reopening of schools and stuff like that. And I mean, it's hard to say because with anything, we they pretty much tell us what funding we can use for what, so
Right.
but definitely it is. I can say this, that definitely it is a priority for the district. And so however we feel we have, we will meet the need of our staff and our students, and we'll work to do so. So, but yeah, I mean, to sit there and give you an exact number or whatever, I don't know that I can do that, but definitely we that is a huge priority. I mean, we all have to be in a right frame of mind to be able to do what we do. And so, yeah, and we have to be healthy to do that mentally and otherwise. So yeah, it's a huge priority, and yeah, and we will meet the needs of our staff and our students.
Have you seen as much promotion of prevention than you have in the last year? Were you guys as focused on not I'm saying prevention as coping skills, the self-care, not intervention, your PBIS or your tier 2, but tier 1, tier 0. Are you seeing that is something that we are focusing, your district's focusing on much more than I mean, not than, I mean and along with the other resources from a year or two ago?
think at I think at this point, yes. I will say that initially, I would say we were more on the intervention side, or because again, when everything first started, we thought we were going to be closed for 2 weeks, so it wasn't, and then it was like almost every 2 weeks we were being extended and extended, and so then we just kind of, to be completely transparent, we fell into this trying to figure things out as we went along. And so unfortunately, one of the things that escaped us was that. And so when we started in the fall, and we had to go back and address some of those issues. And so I would say that initially in the fall it was more of the intervention piece, and trying to go out. And then along the way, probably towards the end of probably the middle of the fall, or towards the end of the fall, then we were able to, I mean, for lack of a better term, catch up and then be able to do more of the prevention, aspect of it. So yeah, unfortunately, I think that unfortunately, however you want to look at it, should we ever go through another pandemic, and hopefully we don't, I mean, we'll be better prepared, but we just weren't prepared. I don't think anybody was
Right.
when it first happened. And so, it was just trying to figure out how to continue educating our students, first and foremost, and then it was everything else, like, oh, what about this, oh, what about this, oh, what about this. And so, yeah.
Well, Georgina, one of the things, and I'd like to sort of wrap this up with this point, we've talked about a lot of different facets of your role, a lot of different facets of your contribution, which seems to extend beyond your role. But besides the fact that you get your fingers in a lot of pots, both internally and externally to the district, what's your favorite part of this job?
I love my interaction with the students. Anytime I get to interact with students, I am there. I love it. That's what I miss the most, being at the district office, but it's what I love the most. So if I can have, any interaction, I can't wait till we're back on campus. I can go visit my kids. I love that part. And I love the fact that, there's a lot of decisions being made that impacts them. So I absolutely love that, and I miss it the most, but that's what I love.
Awesome.
Wow. That is what makes education work right there in that segment. Georgina, thank you very much. And on
Thank you.
behalf of our subject matter expert, Shore Denny, and our very special guest with Tips IE, Miss Georgina Ramirez of Alvord School District, I'd like to say thank you. And always in ending our show, I want to encourage everyone, particularly in these perilous times, please, as you're out there interacting, making the magic happen, please be safe. Thank you.